Martin, tell us, is Ghana broke?
That's an interesting question. And Aisha, to answer that, maybe I should just walk us through our current finances, where we stand, and then we all as Ghanaians can have or hazard a guess as to whether the nation is broke or not. So we are starting from our total projected revenue as a country for this year, 2025. How much are we looking at earning? So, and this is data from the Finance Ministry, the Ministry of Finance, that has been extrapolated by our research desk. So Ghana as a country is looking in 2025 to earn at least 208.4 billion cedis. That is how much we have projected to earn as a country. Now, if you know how much you're earning, that should basically also help you project how much you will be spending from how much you're earning. So we want to earn 208.4 billion, but this is how much we are spending. Our total expenditure for 2025 is 244.4 billion Ghana cedis. If you look at these two numbers, you can deduce simply that there is a difference of about 36 billion cedis, technically meaning that we are spending more than we are earning. So that means that we actually would be having a deficit or a shortfall in total revenue that we generate for the country or to run the country effectively. So if you're earning less than you are spending, you definitely are in the minus. But let's look at the specific breakdown. Every minute, how much does Ghana earn? How much do we spend? And where do we go from there? So as a country, every minute, Ghana makes 396,488.45 Ghana cedis every minute. So the last 2-3 minutes that I've been speaking, this is how much we are making or expected to make. This is how much we spend. We spend 465,046.59 Ghana cedis every minute, which means that we actually, again, just to buttress the earlier point, every minute, this is how much we are spending. If you compare it to how much we are earning, there definitely still is an addition, a shortfall or a deficit. The needs we make, how much do we need per minute? We need a minimum of 68,558.14 Ghana cedis every minute to at least balance out how much we earn so that we can live, at least break even regarding our spending. So that is the current situation we find ourselves in, or at least based on the Ministry of Finance's projection for 2025, we are earning less than we are spending, and we've also told you the deficit or the balance therein. Now, before we even come to the specific taxes that this current government wants to take out of how much they are accruing as a country, this is where we make most of our monies. The country, if it were a man, is making 83% of its finances or revenue from taxes. And if I talk about taxes, the taxes you and I pay on a daily basis, either on petrol or on water or on telecom, whichever taxes government takes from us, all those taxes make up 83% of our total revenue as a country. It's just 17% of our total revenue that is not tax money, or that's not money from taxes that the country is generating. Now, let's take you back to this particular graph. It's pretty interesting because the current administration, the NDC under John Dramani Mahama, during their campaign, told the country that they will be scrapping 3 key taxes. That is the betting tax, the e-levy, and then the COVID levy. How much money were we generating from these 3 taxes? So the highest was the COVID levy, although the NPP, the outgone NPP government, said that the expected projection they didn't get as much as they expected. They still made quite some substantial amount of money. They made about almost 4 billion Ghana cedis from e-levy alone. So 4 billion Ghana cedis was coming in from the e-levy. 2.43 billion cedis was coming, I beg your pardon, COVID levy, I should say, COVID levy. 2.4 billion coming in from e-levy, and then 1.2 billion Ghana cedis was what government was getting from the betting tax. The NDC government says that they are going to scrap all these taxes, indirectly saying that of the total amount we are making, we are going to be losing 7.6 billion Ghana cedis annually because we have decided to scrap these 3 taxes. That's what the NPP government, it was part of the expenditure they were rolling out on a daily, or how they were spending the nation's money in running the economy and running the country. But if the NDC is saying they're going to be scrapping all of this, what are the specific plans they intend to roll out to get in extra money? Already, the NPP in opposition is saying that government intends to scrap these taxes and tax us through the back door. But is that what they expect to do? Well, I'm sure the next question on the minds of many is, if government intends to scrap this, how are they going to be generating money to run the economy? Maybe that's the question we would have to throw to the incoming finance minister. That is if he's approved. I'm talking about Dr. Cassiel Ato Forson. He's been speaking at his vetting, and the question was thrown to him. If the intention is to scrap these taxes, how do we move forward? Let's listen exactly to what the Finance Minister-Designate has been saying.
Mr. Chairman, in the short term, we need to bring confidence back. My proposal is for us to immediately introduce a very strong budget, signaling that we are ready to do the heavy liftings. That first budget will indeed send the right signal that Ghana is ready to open our doors for investors to come into the country. I believe if we are to introduce strong measures, particularly from the expenditure side, we will be able to bring inflation down to 8% plus or minus 2. In doing so, we'll be able to reopen the domestic bond market so that we can move away from the over-reliance of the treasury bill market. And so we'll be able to, at a minimum, smoothing the harms that has been created as a result of the domestic debt exchange and the Eurobond. And so we need to bring confidence back. But if you are confronted with a situation where you do not have financing, then there's the need for you to look within. Let's deal with expenditure. Let's cut expenditure. Let us not pretend that there's money out there for us. Just like it has been done in somewhere, we can also do it here. My proposal is, let's look at the expenditure side as well. It shouldn't always be borrowing and borrowing and borrowing. It's time for us to cut the waste. And so I will lead the process to cut the waste. And I will need you, honorable members, to help me cut the waste so that we live and stay within the envelope that we can. But when push comes to shove, obviously, we will work with our development partners, such as the Africa Development Bank, the World Bank, the European Union, and other bilateral agencies, including the IMF, to raise cheaper sources of financing to finance government expenditure.
So, Martin, Dr. Cassiel Ato Forson's master plan is to reduce inflation to a single digit, which is 8% plus or minus 2.
Yeah.
And this, he says, will increase investor confidence. Yeah. What does all of this mean?
Well, clearly, it tells you that they are pretty much aware of the current situation we find ourselves in. And so that is part of the proposal they intend to roll out if, of course, he's given the nod by the vetting committee of parliament and he goes into office. They intend to immediately run and ensure that our inflation is brought to a single digit. What this indirectly means is that it gives the confidence of outside investors and even local investors to bring in more money, create jobs, and expand the economy. So that is one key strategy the government intends to roll out. Reduce inflation to single digit, plus or minus 2. At least they were looking at it by end of first quarter, second quarter, thereabout, or by the entire year, we should have 8%. That is expected to increase investor confidence. Also, they hope to borrow from the domestic bond market and decrease the over-reliance on treasury bills. And that's one other key thing he talked about. Naturally, because we go outside to borrow, and before we went to the IMF for some assistance, it was because we had been shut out of the international capital market. We can't go out to borrow again. We're over borrowing, and clearly many people raised issues about they couldn't see or feel all those monies we're borrowing. When we bring it into the country, what really do we use it for? So this current administration is saying that they will look at focusing on borrowing from the domestic market, because even going out to borrow is higher. You pay more interest on it. But look, and then you're also borrowing in dollars or in foreign currency. But on the local scene, you're borrowing in cedis. And as a government, they can, have a hand on managing the flow of the local currency, especially to those who are going to be investing into public expenditure. Then that they also hope that because they are going to be focusing more on expanding or borrowing from the local market, it is likely to expand the tax net. Now, this particular phrase of expanding the local, expanding the tax net or widening the tax net has been used several governments since probably former President Kufuor up until now. And why is it that there really isn't any clear-cut strategy of how to increase the tax bracket? What this means is that a few people in Ghana are those that are paying taxes. That probably could be just you and I. But the monies government needs is more than the few who are paying. So if we widen it, then we have more people paying smaller amounts from a larger pool. That would help government make more money in running the economy. And then the last strategy this government intends to roll out, part of Ato Forson's answers were that they are looking at cutting down expenditure. Mind you, one of the key whips the NPP government under Nana Akufo-Addo was whipped with almost every day was that they had too many people on government payroll and that they needed to cut down expenditure. So this government wants to hold the bull by the horn and say they are cutting down expenditure so they can save some money. And by so doing, they also seek to get external funding, cheaper external sources of funding. So although we may still go to the international market to get money, we would try and diversify to see if we can get it from people who will lend to us at lower rates. So those are the key issues we are looking at. Then I want to throw the question back to you, Aisha, and our viewers. Is the country broke? Maybe we are, but we can definitely put in the effort to crawl ourselves back out of our current challenges.
Right, Martin. Thank you very much for breaking this.